The Double O Hotel had witnessed some wild nights, but this particular one had a vibe unlike the others. Little did the hotel know, one of its guests harbored thoughts of sweet, delicious revenge. Let's rewind 5 years. Daeung Kim was living that happy-go-lucky life back then, all sunshine and rainbows. This girl worked part-time at a bar, saving up those coins for college, telling herself she had to hustle for that brighter future. Ever the caring soul, she couldn't help but notice this one customer looking sadder than a kid who dropped their ice cream cone. Before she could analyze his tragic situation, her boss shut that down real quick. As Daeung closed up shop for the night, there was sad Sak, still nursing his boozy sorrows. Being an absolute angel, she hooked him up with the bar's legendary hangover cure reserved for VIP regulars. Dude literally burst into tears at her kindness. Turns out, his name was Changeob Cho, and his sickly mom had been struggling to raise him solo after his dad kicked the bucket. Daeung, an orphan herself, felt that on a spiritual level. So touched was Changeob that he asked to see her again, and she agreed. From then on, Changeob became a permanent fixture, and they became inseparable. 3 months into their love fest, though, Homie started acting mad shady on one of their dates. While on the phone, his whole demeanor changed when he mentioned his mom was getting a new liver soon. Those lovey-dovey eyes turned ice cold in a split second. Daeung couldn't wait to tell her good friend all about her new boyfriend Changeob. She just went on, praising him left and right, even mentioning how he paid for some medical tests for her a little while back. You know, that classic girl talk where they gush over every little thing their guy does. Even though they had only been together for 3 months, Changeob had already proposed. Daeung's friend, let's call her Uni, wasn't feeling this rush into marriage at all. But Daeung pulled the "we grew up in the same orphanage, you're like a sister to me" card, so poor Uni had no choice but to reluctantly agree to go to the wedding. It was like that night at the Double O Hotel all over again, so you can bet whatever happened then was happening now too. Pure joy filled the air, with sappy love confessions and wedding thank yous from both of them, even though this lovey-dovey scene was just a memory 5 years later. Everything was perfect that night, the wedding, and the days after, until a doctor visit changed everything. The doctor told them Changeob's mom didn't have much time left unless she got a liver transplant. A huge operation made even harder since finding a matching donor is so tough. Soon after, at Changeob's sick mom's bedside, the family discussed their options. Daeung stayed hopeful they'd find a donor, while her mother-in-law seemed to accept her fate. Sweet Daeung suggested family members were the most likely matches, but her sister-in-law quickly shut that down, worried a transplant scar would ruin her chances of finding a husband. Changeob then mentioned his blood didn't match his mom's, but realized Daeung's did. Cue his mom desperately begging the new daughter-in-law to donate, saying she wanted to meet her grandchild first. But her daughter reminded her that asking Daeung, who just married in, for an organ was way too much. Still, Daeung couldn't stop thinking about it. More talks, then Daeung rushed to get tested, determined to keep her new family together after growing up alone. But as soon as she left, the room went ice cold as an awful truth came out: Daeung was being straight up deceived. To them, she was just a means to an organ for the sick mom. They praised Changeob for fooling such a naive girl as he revealed all the lies he told to make this transplant happen, including those tests Daeung bragged about to Uni. When mom mentioned a Sekyung, their real plan unraveled. Sekyung was the woman Changeob planned to marry after divorcing Daeung, and her baby, not Daeung's, was the supposed grandchild mom used to trick Daeung. They flat out admired how gullible she was, while Changeob got the reminder to update his actual lover Sekyung on their evil progress, assuring her he'd ditched Daeung after the surgery to marry her as planned. Then Daeung returned, beaming, announcing her compatibility tests were the next day to set a surgery date. Changeob hugged her tight, pretending to be grateful when he already knew the rigged results since he'd secretly tested her match way earlier. Daeung never had a real say, she was just a pawn in Changeob's calculated scheme from the very start. Daeung was just overjoyed. She couldn't wait to tell her Appa the amazing news. She was the perfect match to donate a liver to his mom. Sure, Appa reminded her about the surgery scar, but Daeung didn't seem bothered one bit. In fact, she cheekily suggested they get extra cuddly before the transplant. Smooth move, girl. Next up, Daeung filled in her dear Uni on the transplant plan while she and her new family eagerly awaited the surgery date for Changeob's mom. Uni thought this whole organ donation thing seemed a bit extreme, but Mrs. Cho felt it was the best way to repay her late husband's family for their kindness. The whole fam was just thrilled mom's life-saving surgery would happen soon. She even promised to recover super fast so she could meet her new grandchild. Poor Daeung had no clue about her real role in this. Finally, the big surgery day rolled around. As Daeung went under the knife, Changeob's actual lover gave birth to his daughter. Talk about timing. When Daeung woke up, the very first thing on her mind was checking on her mother-in-law Baksun. After the nurse gave her a reassuring update, Daeung dozed off peacefully, all her worries gone. Soon enough, Changeob was right by her side as the anesthesia wore off. He made sure to tell Daeung that Baksun was A-okay, thanking her for basically saving his mom's life. He urged his wifey to rest up and said he'd be back before ducking out to meet his sister waiting outside. Sis was just dying to know about his other lady Sekyung's delivery, and Changeob happily reported his daughter arrived safe and sound. After finishing the Sekyung chat, he once again laid out his master plan to ditch Daeung for good once the timing was perfect. His sis straight up applauded his manipulative skills. Poor Daeung was just blissfully unaware of the bombshells dropping outside her room. She thought this transplant finally made them a real family, not knowing she was never really part of their family at all. Harsh reality was, Changeob had just been stringing her along for that liver from the very start. It was such a joyous time for the fam. Baksun could barely contain her excitement to finally meet her precious granddaughter. Changeob was over the moon with his baby girl and soon-to-be wifey by his side. Meanwhile, poor Daeung laid alone in her hospital bed, totally clueless about her new little stepdaughter and the cruel game they'd all been playing her. But don't worry, Changeob assured Sekyung that as soon as Daeung got sprung from the hospital, he'd kick her to the curb and they could finally tie the knot. Daeung just lit up when her hubby finally graced her with his presence again. She poured her heart out about how much she missed him and hated being so alone. Changeob played it cool, claiming work had him swamped and distracting her with silly jokes, an idea Daeung wasn't totally on board with but went along with anyway, just happy to imagine their bright future together. While she daydreamed, Changeob was busy getting dressed to ditch her again. Once discharged, Daeung refused to let her mild surgery pains get her down. She cleaned up, then whipped up a whole dinner feast for her Appa's homecoming. But when he arrived, Changeob reminded his wifey she should be resting, not cooking up a storm. Bless her heart, Daeung was troubled over Baksun's ever-delayed discharge date, but her hubby assured her his mom would be just fine. She shyly asked if they should hold off on getting intimate until she fully recovered, and Changeob agreed, heading off to freshen up while Daeung happily reheated their lukewarm meal, so grateful her man was being a total sweetheart. Little did she know, as soon as Changeob hit that bedroom, his whole demeanor went ice cold as he decided it was finally time to get rid of her for good. Days passed, and Daeung started experiencing disturbing stomach and back pains. She chalked it up to surgery side effects and worried the same thing was happening to Baksun with her slow recovery. One day while tidying up, Daeung stumbled across various baby items stashed around the house. She just assumed overeager Baksun had gone grandma crazy prepping for her future grandkid. Daeung decided to play dumb about her discovery to avoid ruining the surprise. Break our hearts, we wish we could clue her in that those gifts weren't meant for her baby at all. When Changeob finally returned home with his mom, sweet Daeung welcomed them with open arms, excitedly promising to whip up a feast to satisfy their rumbling bellies. But as soon as her back was turned, Changeob's warm facade crumbled as the true villain emerged. Yep, he wanted a divorce. He confessed to seeing another woman, and Baksun actually blamed Daeung, claiming she neglected her wifely duties, so Changeob was justified in stepping out. They even offered her a puny alimony settlement. When Daeyoung understandably freaked, they callously reminded her of every penny they spent on her medical testing, cruelly insinuating they basically bought her organs. Just like that, Daeyoung was kicked out of her own home. A month later, Changeob made their divorce final, while heartbroken Daeyoung could only reminisce about their happy times and wonder where things went so wrong. She still viewed them as her family even after her huge sacrifice. Why? Summoning every ounce of courage, Daeyoung returned to her former home, desperate to see Changeob one last time. But she was met with a harsh reality. She had been completely replaced, as the other woman coldly spelled out how Daeyoung was merely a disposable tool for Baksoon's transplant. Next scene, Daeyoung gets rocked by some mind-blowing news from Yoonhee. She's 8 weeks pregnant. Her mind raced, trying to pinpoint exactly when that bun could have gotten in her oven. Yoonhee suggested she not keep the baby, considering the terrible memories tied to it and Daeyoung's struggles to even take care of herself. But Daeyoung waved off those concerns. She promised to shower this child with endless love and be a kick-ass mom. She vowed to get a job to supplement that puny alimony check and make ends meet. The job hunt felt hopeless until a quaint little flower shop caught her eye. Daeyoung poured her heart out to the owner about her crappy situation. Turned out, this lady was all about being the change she wanted to see in the cruel world, so she hired the wronged young woman on the spot. Daeyoung worked her butt off as her belly grew, stealing glances at how carefree and happy the monsters who deceived her lived. When she finally brought her son into the world, Daeyoung was filled with newfound hope and purpose. As far as she was concerned, the little boy had no father thanks to all the pain his sperm donor caused her, pain she planned to return tenfold to that whole twisted family. Fast forward to present day, and Changeob's sis Chang Hee-cho was impatiently waiting for her boyfriend to show up for their date already. Turns out, the poor sap stopped at Daeyoung's flower shop to grab an apology bouquet for running late. It had been 5 long years since that fateful transplant. Daeyoung's son was healthy and thriving, and her master revenge plan was finally a go. She slipped a sneaky little note into her customer's floral arrangement. Chang Hee assumed it was a romantic gesture from her boo Sungwon, but once he read it, he raced back to the shop to question Daeyoung and ended up inviting her out for a drink. She gladly accepted, setting the stage to blow up the very family that used her as a disposable organ incubator 5 years prior. This time, Daeyoung was the predator and they were all her prey. Daeyoung and Sungwon met up at his picked spot for drinks, and he was shook when she casually addressed him by name. We could sense the chemistry as she laid it on thick about how his kind treatment of Chang Hee caught her eye, playing him like a fiddle. Her choice words and body language were already working their magic, making Sungwon want her despite his girlfriend. Daeyoung's plan was off to a killer start. See, Sungwon was the man Chang Hee hoped to marry eventually. But apple of Daeyoung's eye or not, she was hellbent on torpedoing that marine's chance at wedded bliss. One night out and she already had him hooked, just like she schemed. When Chang Hee playfully accused her man of fooling around, he brushed it off as totally false, even though we knew better after witnessing Daeyoung work her magic. While mall shopping with her son Hanbin, Daeyoung locked eyes on her next target, the so-called perfect wife Sekyung herself. Making us wonder, just what juicy dirt could Daeyoung possibly have on the lady who stole her life? From the outside, Sekyung looked like the total package, the perfect mom with a loving husband, plenty of money, an adorable daughter, and just radiating devotion to her charmed life. But peek behind the curtain and yikes, her swimming lessons with her ripped instructor often ventured way off course to some secluded, extracurricular activities, if you know what I mean. Speaking of Sekyung's swimsuit-clad boy toy, he had a literal run-in with our girl Daeyoung at the pool. Dude accidentally bumped into her, causing a total wipeout. But Daeyoung was totally faking that twisted ankle, all part of her master scheme to worm her way into the instructor's orbit. He fell for it hook, line and sinker, rushing her off for a precautionary hospital check before escorting her back to the flower shop. As a thanks, Daeyoung gifted him a lil plant baby, bidding him farewell. As he pulled away to meet up with Sekyung, the instructor couldn't help but vibe with Daeyoung's chill demeanor. Little did he know, she watched him drive off with cold, dead eyes, clearly taking manipulation cues from the best. Sekyung's poolside dalliances definitely made you question her feelings for her husband Changeob and their whole family setup. But she played the doting mommy and wifey role perfectly. Gotta wonder how long she could keep up that act, though. Even after his steamy romps with Sekyung, her instructor Boo Young-soo still made time to pop up unannounced at Daeyoung's flower shop late one night, much to her faux surprise, all part of the plan. Then someone randomly rolled through too, leaving both dudes questioning what the other was to Daeyoung. They were both obviously crushing, but only Young-soo made a move, until Daeyoung announced she had plans, leaving them stunned. After stocking up on a bouquet for no reason, someone skulked off while Young-soo beat a hasty retreat too. Daeyoung rushed to close up so she could spend time with her son Hanbin before he knocked out at her boss's place. Meanwhile, poor Chang-hee was straight up oblivious that Daeyoung had already sunk her claws into her future hubby, bragging to her mom about how Sungwon only had eyes for her. Mom not so gently reminded her to lock it down before he strayed too late, the wandering eye had landed right on Daeyoung. There he was again, Young-soo popping up unannounced at Miss Min's shop, wondering why Daeyoung was a no-show at the pool and trying his darndest to score a date. He was oozing smooth as he poured on the charm. Daeyoung played right along, amping up the flirty banter until she called him a cool guy always surrounded by ladies. He took that as a sign she'd been scoping him out, which she coyly confirmed. When Young-soo ordered up a bouquet for someone not his girlfriend, the shop girls both agreed this flirty fitness bro was an easy mark. Sure enough, when Young-soo swung by Sekyung's with those flowers, she gratefully accepted her side boo's usual romantic gesture, taking them inside like everything was normal. Hanbin's obsession with Dinos was just too pure. Daeyoung indulged her son's headbutting Dino dreams with all the themed toys, clothes, you name it. On this particular day, a Dino lollipop had Hanbin zooming around so fast, he accidentally crashed right into a stranger. After making sure the little guy was A-okay, the kind stranger noticed Hanbin's prized sucker met its untimely demise. But 2 replacement lollies instantly made this dude Hanbin's newest bestie and gave Daeyoung a rare, genuine smile. For just that moment, she was truly happy. The kind stranger who saved little Hanbin's lollipop life finally introduced himself as Dae Hoon-yu, the owner of the building housing Miss Min's flower shop. Turned out he spotted Daeyoung working there during one of his property check-ins. She gave him and Hanbin her name, and even the little guy piped up with a hello. Dae-hoon assumed she was married, but Daeyoung set him straight, just a single mom doing her thing. He promised to swing by the shop soon, even pledging to bring Hanbin another Dino lollipop. Meanwhile, Chang-hee was on a date with her boyfriend Sungwon, but homeboy's mind was wandering to his new lady love, who wasn't even there. He kept zoning out thinking about her, refusing Chang-hee's requests for a lil hotel staycation by making every excuse in the book. Poor Chang-hee was oblivious to his fading interest, just bummed he shot down her idea for wine and quality time. Later that night, Daeyoung was about to lock up the shop and grab Hanbin from her boss's place when who should show up but Sungwon, admitting he couldn't stop thinking about her. After she playfully ribbed him about flowers for his lady, he suggested they go somewhere quieter, just them, alone. Ooh la la. This was all part of Daeyoung's master plan. She even stashed a sexy outfit at the shop just for such an occasion. She quickly okayed Hanbin's sleepover with Miss Min and reassured her boss she had some business to handle first. So instead of hotel wine with Chang-hee, Sungwon shared a bottle with Daeyoung overlooking the most romantic city view. She laid the flirty charm on thick, coyly asking what they should do now that they were all alone in this room. Her suggestive question had Sungwon gulping nervously, already feeling flustered. He tried to play it cool by refilling his wine, but Daeyoung wasn't letting up, reminding him this was the meet-up spot he picked for them. She had him just where she wanted. Finally working up some courage, Sungwon asked about that other guy Young-soo who hit on her at the shop. He straight up thought they were an item. Daeyoung explained Young-soo was just a rando fitness instructor she met, giving Sungwon some relief. But then she turned the tables, asking if Young-soo's advance bothered him. Sungwon admitted it kinda did, whoops. Daeyoung seized the moment, leaning in close enough for their lips to almost touch as she confessed her feelings for him. She let him know in no uncertain terms she wanted him all to herself, no sharing with other women. His lips parted but no words came out as her daring declaration left him stunned. For now, she was content letting their secret fling continue while he stayed with Chang-hee, reveling in the thrill of danger. Sungwon's heart was pounding despite his silence as Daeyoung's bold words sunk in. Next morning, Daeyoung reported for work bright and early, shocking her boss Miss Min. After some Hanbin catch-up, it was back to business as usual. That is, until Young-soo called in an order a bouquet delivery to the cafe next door, just so he could schmooze Daeyoung over coffee. She happily obliged, thanking him for an excuse to take a break. Their cafe date was all laughs and flirty banter, but when their time was up, Young-soo was clearly bummed to see Daeyoung rush off. She booked it back to the shop, accidentally bumping into some fine-looking older gentleman along the way. Whoa, this dude was too handsome to be a random extra. Young-soo wasted no time handing off those flowers to his side chick, none other than Changeob's wife Sekyung. But the whole time, he was imagining what could have been with Daeyoung instead. And just like that, the vicious cycle repeated as Sekyung brought the bouquet home. Her husband questioned the flowers again, but eventually agreed they made a nice touch. With baby Jane in his arms and Sekyung by his side, the fam looked picturesque on the outside. But we all saw the cracks. It was only a matter of time before the whole facade crumbled. Next scene opened on Daeyoung sprucing up the shop's exterior when that same dapper old man from earlier reappeared, giving her a polite nod hello. But then boom! Dude suddenly collapsed, struggling to breathe in the throes of a heart attack. A concerned crowd murmured from a distance as Daeyoung leapt into action, desperately trying to revive him. When he finally woke up at the hospital, the first thing he learned was how this young florist saved his life. Just like that, Daeyoung had a new player 3 enter the game. Hanbin's Dino obsession struck again as he accidentally bumped into his very own grandma Baksoon, who had zero clue who this little munchkin was. She reacted with straight-up disgust until Daeyoung rushed to defend her son. Even after that liver donation, Baksoon treated Daeyoung like a piece of trash, storming off all high and mighty. As Daeyoung comforted her heartbroken son who witnessed Baksoon's cruel words, her thirst for revenge against that whole wretched family only grew stronger. Baksoon just got added to the list. After praising Daeyoung's outstanding employee performance, Miss Min suggested a coffee break. As the ladies chatted, who should appear but the man whose life Daeyoung saved, thanking her profusely. Poor Miss Min was so lost trying to follow their cryptic convo. Over their coffee clatch with a new third wheel named Manhyuk, Daeyoung filled her boss in on the juicy deets about her recent life-saving heroics. Manhyuk, still reeling from his brush with death, was eager to repay his debt to Daeyoung by any means necessary. She coyly asked if it was okay to ask him to completely deceive and crush someone on her behalf. His response? After being pulled from the grave, he was down for whatever payback scheme his savior had cooked up. Before laying out her grand favor, Daeyoung regaled Manhyuk with the twisted saga from 5 years prior that set this whole revenge plot in motion. Manhyuk was straight up livid after hearing Daeyoung's messed up story. He was 100% down to help her get revenge on those scumbags, ready to play whatever role she needed. Miss Min stayed ominously quiet, but the vibe was clear. She had Daeyoung's back as she assigned Manhyuk his mission, seduce Baksoon until that old bat couldn't live without him. Drama seemed to follow Daeyoung everywhere she went. As she prepped to grab Hanbin from Miss Min's, there was Young-soo asking her out for drinks. She started making up an excuse when Daehoon, the building owner, appeared out of nowhere. Daeyoung seized the moment, claiming she had plans with him instead, leaving Young-soo no choice but to sulk off. Daehoon tagged along to get Hanbin, using the Dino lollipop he snagged for the little guy as his cover. He even escorted them all the way home, doling out security tips before disappearing into the night. A sly smile crept across Daeyoung's face. Could she be developing a lil crush on Daehoon? Bright and early the next morning, Manhyuk made his move on Baksoon, pretending she was a dead ringer for his ex-wife. He hit her with cheesy flirty lines until the old girl turned beet red and flustered. By the end of their encounter, Manhyuk slipped Baksoon his biz card, hoping she'd call him for a real date. As she shyly scurried off, her heart was already pitter-pattering over this supposed stranger. Manhyuk couldn't believe how easy this mission was, quickly updating Daeyoung on his progress so far. Speaking of Daeyoung, right after debriefing her secret weapon Manhyuk, who should stroll in but Daehoon, toting coffee for the ladies and, of course, a lollipop for Hanbin at kindergarten. Their exchange was brief but his presence lingered after he left. Miss Min even shared her 2 cents, gushing over what a catch the handsome young building owner seemed to be, trying to feel out if there was anything romantic brewing between him and her employee. Daeyoung shut that down quick. It wasn't like that, yet. On the outside, Daeyoung might have seemed over her twisted ex and his poisonous family. But night after night, they still tormented her sleep with harrowing nightmares about their deception. The dark memories didn't slow her down, though, if anything, they fueled her fire to dismantle their lives piece by piece. Another new day, another early bird customer. Daeyoung had just unlocked the shop bright and early when someone came strolling in. She playfully teased him about needing to buy his girlfriend flowers at this hour, but he clapped back that they weren't for her. Instead, he wanted Daeyoung's personal favorite, lobelias, duh. She messed with his head a bit before hooking him up with the symbolic blooms. Then someone went and asked her out on another secret date, to which Daeyoung happily agreed. As soon as he left, she didn't even need to ask Miss Min to watch Hanbin. The boss was already 1 step ahead and approved. Talk about making her allegiance crystal clear. Fast forward to Chang-hee dropping in on her man at work. When she spotted that conspicuous bouquet, she just assumed it was for her and got all green-eyed jealous upon learning otherwise. Trying to leave her scent all over him, she planted a big ol' kiss on someone's neck, hoping to mark her territory for this mystery lady. Only served to make someone even more of a nervous wreck. That night at their swanky hotel rendezvous spot, someone presented Daeyoung with a lobelia bouquet she arranged earlier. He apologized profusely, admitting he could never get flowers anywhere else since Daeyoung's were simply the best. She gratefully accepted, right before pointing out the glaring lip mark on his neck, playfully asking if it was from his girlfriend. Poor guy could barely get any words out, stammering and stumbling over his excuses while Daeyoung decided to take their secret relationship up a notch. Sensing his nerves, Daeyoung tried to calm someone down, pulling him closer to leave her own intimate mark on his chest. After a little teasing back and forth, they agreed the mood was perfect for taking things to the next level on their upcoming date night. Next morning, Miss Min gave Daeyoung a ring to let her know Hanbin was off to kindergarten safe and sound. After thanking her boss, Daeyoung got the okay to come in late, saying she had some personal business to handle first. That free time was quickly booked. She rang up Young-soo to set a date at the gym, telling him she'd be swinging his way. Once their secret workout sesh was locked in, Young-soo called up his side chick Sekyung to cancel yet another one of their dates, feigning a little illness as his excuse. His plan was to get flirty with Daeyoung during their tryst, but little did he know she was the one pulling the strings. She played the role of clueless bystander during their private lesson, acting like his overt advances were no big deal to really mess with his head. The whole lunch after their steamy pool sesh, Young-soo couldn't stop wondering, did Daeyoung totally not notice his wandering hands all over her, or was she just playing dumb? When she innocently requested another private swim lesson, he concluded she must have clocked his moves but chose to stay quiet about it. As Daeyoung apologized for having to jet early, she slyly mentioned scoring special permission just to spend time with him, laying that flirty bait thick. He walked her back to the shop, both exchanging friendly goodbyes, but Young-soo was so riled up from their encounter that he immediately rang up Sekyung to set another hookup ASAP. Understanding as always, Miss Min had zero issues letting Daeyoung peace out early with Hanbin once the little guy got back from kindergarten. As they debated if she should take the whole day, who should stroll in but Daehoon himself. Hanbin's face lit up, shouting "Dino Lollipop Man" at the top of his lungs until Daeyoung playfully shushed him. Didn't stop Daehoon from gifting the delighted kid yet another prehistoric sucker, though. After thanking him for always thinking of Hanbin, Daehoon admitted he hoped to get closer to the little guy. Turns out his mission that day was grabbing a plant to congratulate the owner of a new cafe in a building he managed. Once the flower details were squared away, Daehoon surprised Daeyoung by asking if he could give her his number, hoping she'd give him a call sometime. She was speechless as he handed over his digits, barely mustering a flustered goodbye before he strolled out with that charming smile. Daehoon just had a way of brightening any room he entered, even long after he left. Miss Min and Daeyoung were shook, the florist still clutching that premium phone number long after their encounter. Miss Min could sense it was high time for her girl to find some happiness with a stand-up guy like Daehoon. Daeyoung admitted he seemed like a real catch, but lamented her revenge mission left zero room for romance right now. A call from someone rudely interrupted their girl talk, only reinforcing Daeyoung's point. As worried as she was about her employees' well-being, Miss Min gave Daeyoung the go-ahead to do whatever she needed that night, promising to watch over Hanbin, who was surprisingly chill with a sleepover at Grandma's. We all know what goes down whenever the Global International Hotel gets name-dropped, another clandestine date night for Sungwon and Daeyoung. This time, she questioned why they always had to sneak around hotels, asking if he had any other scandalous location ideas and daring him to be honest about what he really wanted. His body's reaction said it all, even if someone couldn't articulate it. Daeyoung slyly led him to the bed, teasing him mercilessly about what their steamy alone time could entail until the poor guy was blushing madly. As much as she clearly wanted him, Daeyoung ultimately concluded her all-consuming revenge mission left no room for personal indulgences like happiness. Not now, at least. The first sight greeting Daeyoung's eyes the next morning? Daehoon's crispy new phone number, just waiting on her nightstand. She stared at those digits for a while, pondering her next move, before stuffing them in a drawer and starting her day. Sungwon kicked off his own morning in bed with Chang-hee, but his mind was literally anywhere else, consumed with thoughts of Daeyoung. His behavior was so obvious, Chang-hee couldn't help but giddily call out his distraction during their vacation day romp. When she noticed that suspicious red mark on his chest, Sungwon managed to deflect by claiming it was just a random scratch. Chang-hee bought the excuse, even mischievously adding her own hickey to the collection. The endless cycle of scheming and double-crossing was clearly weighing on Daeyoung, causing her to zone out at work until Miss Min had to compassionately check in. Daeyoung brushed it off as no biggie, but her boss couldn't help noticing that conspicuous plant on the counter and asking if it was from Daehoon. Daeyoung confirmed, and just minutes into their chat, speak of the devil, Daehoon arrived to grab his order. He gushed over her choice, promising to keep soliciting her professional opinion going forward. Miss Min's concerns resurfaced the second he left, positive this kind-hearted fella could be Daeyoung's ticket to happiness if she let him. Elsewhere, Manhyuk's role in the grand revenge plot was sailing along smoothly. After roping back Soon into a flirty golf outing, the sly dog scored them coffee together after easily charming his way further into her heart. Dude was a natural at this seduction game. Daeyoung's spaciness just wouldn't quit, so Miss Min finally spoke up. She figured all the stress must be getting to her girl, but Daeyoung admitted her mind was simply overloaded lately. Miss Min wondered if a certain new guy in the picture was the distraction. Yep, she meant Daehoon. She low-key advised Daeyoung to prioritize herself and Hanbin for once and maybe explore things with the handsome building owner. As tempting as that sounded, Daeyoung brushed it off, saying the timing still wasn't right even though she definitely wanted to. Of course, their heart-to-heart convo got rudely interrupted by the shop phone ringing for an order. Duties called. The night drifted by quiet and uneventful before blooming into a fresh new day. First up, Daeyoung had a major flower delivery for a customer who ordered the previous day at some huge fancy corporate office building. The whole place just reeked of changeob vibes, but her transaction with the client started off smooth, until he introduced his business partner, the infamous Mr. Cho himself, Daeyoung's snake ex-husband in the flesh. The second they were alone, Changeob dropped his polite facade and reverted to that cold, cruel persona Daeyoung knew all too well. He started viciously bragging about deceiving her, showing absolutely zero remorse as he pelted her with vicious accusations left and right until Daeyoung felt suffocated. She had to bolt just to catch her breath, but the ugly confrontation just reignited her burning desire for revenge tenfold. Didn't take long for her to fire off a message to Young-soo, setting up a rendezvous she definitely hadn't forgotten about destroying his world too. When Daeyoung returned to the shop after that hellish delivery, she kept her lips zipped about her changeob run-in, only asking the ever-reliable Miss Min to watch Hanbin that night as usual. The boss agreed without question, per the norm. Daeyoung met up with Young-soo at his go-to drinking spot, and honestly, who knows if she was genuinely enjoying herself or just playing another masterful round of mind games. But she laid it on thick regardless, cracking jokes about how the handsome fitness stud must be ultra-popular with the ladies at his gym while pretending to be so interested in his life story. Young-soo lapped up every last drop of her faux flattery hook, line and sinker. As the night rolled along, her sudden "I'm so tipsy" act was blatantly stone-cold sober, but all part of Daeyoung's grand scheme. She feigned drunk stumbles until one accidental tumble landed Young-soo's hand straight on her chest. He immediately started apologizing profusely until Daeyoung cut him off, snapping that he already copped a feel during their private swimming trysts, so what was the big deal? She taunted him over whether he truly was some innocent young thing or just playing coy. Daeyoung's wild shift in demeanor had Young-soo basically salivating at the possibilities of where this night could lead. Still fuming from her blowout with Changeob earlier, Daeyoung ended up seducing Young-soo way sooner than planned, only to abruptly pump the brakes once his raunchy advances reminded her of her vile ex's manipulative games all over again. She hurried home, desperate for a hot shower to wash off the whole sordid situation, silently battling waves of anger and self-loathing. She hated that Changeob still maintained such psychological control over her actions and emotions to this day. When would she finally break free? Meanwhile, Manhyuk's mission to seduce Baksun was smoother than a fresh jar of Skippy. The old girl practically gifted him the perfect, and during one fateful park stroll, she went and clumsily spilled her entire drink down his pant leg, insisting they retreat to her place so she could toss his pants in the wash. What fortuitous timing! Once at Baksun's home, as she loaded the washing machine, Manhyuk poured on that signature charm by suggesting her inviting him into her personal sanctuary was akin to opening her heart to him. The line literally stunned Baksun into speechlessness until she recovered enough to announce she needed to brew some coffee, stat. As the flustered woman strained to reach a mug from the top shelf, Manhyuk sidled up real close for an assist, leaving them practically chest to chest until her face burned crimson. She scolded him to back off and have a seat, but little did Baksun know, his seductive hooks were already set too deep. Daeyoung was locking up solo at the flower shop when a mysterious figure suddenly called out to her from the shadows. She tensed, clutching her keys. Who could it be? Well, if it wasn't Mr. Tall, Dark and Handsome himself, Dae-hoon-yu. Daeyoung was shook to see the dashing building owner loitering outside her shop so late. Turns out, he'd been waiting around hoping to catch her, saying he needed to discuss something. But first, he confirmed little Hanbin was safe and sound over at Miss Min's for the night. Although Daeyoung tried to protest, Dae-hoon insisted they go scoop up the kiddo together. On their stroll to retrieve Hanbin, Dae-hoon casually asked about Daeyoung's typical daily routine. She finally seized the opening to let him down easy, claiming she was just a lost cause burdened by metaphorical chains and baggage. But his response? Probably could have seen it coming from a mile away. He'd wait however long it took for her to open up, if she was okay with that is. Sure enough, when they arrived, the precious Dino Lollipop Man had a fresh prehistoric sucker ready to delight Hanbin. Dae-young couldn't help observing how Dae-hoon, Miss Min and her son almost resembled the perfect little family she always dreamed of having. As much as she ached to finally experience that warmth and happiness, she knew she couldn't quit her revenge mission before it even started. Although, she allowed herself to bask in the tender moment, if only for a little while. With the rise of a fresh new day, an amused Chang-hee was totally ragging on her mama Baksun for her recent strange behavior, blaming it on her weird old man fling. But the old broad wasn't taking that disrespect lying down. She went full interrogation mode on her daughter about this mystery man she assumed Chang-hee was marrying soon, insisting it was high time he wifed her up already. Chang-hee simply brushed it off, vowing to set her delusional mother straight after work. Little did Bae know the man she wanted to lock down was already head over heels for a certain floral femme fatale. Sungwon hit up Dae-young to schedule another rendezvous, and she just knew her secret lover's intentions. He was gunning to take her to bed. She seriously weighed the pros and cons of finally consummating their torrid affair, when an image of Dae-hoon flashed through her mind. Dae-young instantly shook off the distraction, recentering on her grand revenge mission. This was no time to waver, not when her son's future was at stake. Back at the flower shop, Dae-young enlisted Miss Min to watch Hanbin for a spell, and the boss was happy to oblige. That's when Manhyuk rolled through, picking up a bouquet for his latest target Baksun, of course. He confirmed things were still progressing smoothly on that front, but expressed reservations that his floral offering was almost too beautiful for the vile old woman. After thanking Dae-young, he took off, leaving Miss Min to chime in that their schemes seemed to be going perfectly according to plan. Dae-young agreed going after the liver donor herself would surely cripple that whole wretched family. Meanwhile, Sekyung was throwing a massive tantrum after asking her monster-in-law Baksun to babysit little Jane, only for that crusty crab to refuse, claiming she already had mysterious plans. When Sekyung dare questioned her new busyness, Baksun just berated her with insults. The good daughter-in-law played it cool in the moment, but as soon as she hung up, she started venting to Young-soo about that old fogey ruining their hookup plans. Her side boo tried to salvage the situation, suggesting they simply sneak away for a quickie at the gym since he'd be running things. Young-soo lamented Sekyung's total uptightness, wondering if his other lady Dae-young would be so fussy about stealing private moments together. After clocking out for the day, Sungwon came scooping Dae-young up for another secret meetup at their usual spot. She instantly sensed something was off about her lover. That's when Sungwon caved and confessed he had slept with his girlfriend earlier, but spent the whole time fantasizing about Dae-young instead. She quickly capitalized on his weakened state, leading her puppet-like paramour straight to the bedroom. Sungwon was adorably shy, so Dae-young did her best to set the mood, lulling him into a false sense of comfort and security. When she finally uttered the words he longed to hear, that she wanted him all to herself, Sungwon was powerless to resist, entirely under her intoxicating spell. Dae-young totally plays with Sungwon's emotions, making him think he is finally gonna get a taste before snatching that possibility away. She reminds him loud and clear he isn't her man, not yet. As far as she is concerned, his supposed future wife Chang-hee can wave goodbye to those marriage plans, because Sungwon is already caught up in Dae-young's web. At work, Dae-young apologizes to Miss Min for any awkwardness caused by her secret rendezvous, but the boss brushes it off. She makes it crystal clear that looking after the delightful Hanbin is never an issue. Miss Min can see her girl is going through it, silently encouraging Dae-young to hang in there. Elsewhere, Manhyuk's golf lessons with Baksun continue full swing. He compliments her improving skills, to which she credits his excellent teaching. When she invites him to lunch, he politely declines, claiming he has other students to juggle plus logistical prep to raise funds for opening his own screen golf center. Manhyuk casually mentions potentially spending less time with Baksun soon. She takes the bait, asking how much money he needs to make his business dream a reality, vowing to let him know the very next day if she can help. That very night, Baksun enlists her son Changeob to secure the cash Manhyuk requires. Despite his reluctance, he agrees, then immediately tries calling Sekyung to gossip about his mom's strange new behavior. Why isn't she picking up? Oh, because she is in the midst of a steamy parking lot romp with her side piece Young-soo. The more we see of Sekyung, the more her perfect wife and mother facade crumbles. This time, she is straight up hooking up with Young-soo in his car without a care that her daughter could arrive home from school any minute. It shows exactly where this woman's priorities truly are definitely not on poor little Jane. Daeyoung's motherly priorities, however, remain laser-focused on showering Hanbin with unconditional love even throughout her vengeance quest. After the little guy recaps his entire day for his always listening mom, who should arrive but Mr. Dino Lollipop himself, Daehoon, toting coffee for the ladies and, of course, a fresh prehistoric sucker for Hanbin. The sweet boy loudly wishes his new dinosaur lollipop man would come by every single day, earning a playful scolding from Daeyoung about his manners. Not that Daehoon cares, he is perfectly content as Hanbin begs him not to go. Daehoon is slowly but surely becoming a steady, positive presence in their lives, yet Daeyoung continues pushing him away, believing this good-hearted man is too pure for her perceived darkness. Baksun, meanwhile, has plummeted hook, line and sinker into Manhyuk's masterful trap. She straight up hands him a check for 1 billion won to help achieve his screen golf dreams. He plays perfectly coy, expressing immense gratitude for such generous investment, right before shamelessly propositioning the old woman in the heat of passion, leaving her absolutely gobsmacked. At this point, it is easy to forget Baksun was the vile matriarch who destroyed Daeyoung's life, and that Manhyuk is merely a double agent in her intricate revenge scheme. He deftly convinces Baksun that they are not too old for life's carnal pleasures, taking her by the hand and leading her off to consummate their new relationship, if you could call it that. Changeob eventually gets Sekyung on the phone, wasting no time grilling her about their increasingly eccentric mother's recent antics. She happily dishes on Baksun's refusal to babysit Jane, a duty she normally jumps at. Sekyung plants suspicions about Baksun's strange busyness, which gives Changeob pause, but only briefly. After all, in his troubled mind, his mother is simply too old and bitter to possibly be chasing after a new man, right? Wrong. In reality, Mama Baksun has become the latest pawn in Daeyoung's intricately woven web of vengeance against Changeob and everything he holds dear. In the next scene, Daeyoung is racing to lock up the flower shop, dead set on scooping up her son Hanbin from Miss Min's place pronto. That little guy flat out refuses to hit the hay without his mama. Just as she's scrambling out the door, who should pop up unannounced but someone? Daeyoung hits him with a harsh truth bomb. She's already got plans to see another dude, essentially dumping someone on the spot. The writing's on the wall for homeboy, it's decision-making time. Back at home, Daeyoung soaks up precious cutie with her pride and joy Hanbin, secure in the knowledge that she's knocked down a major pillar in her revenge master plan by snatching Changhee's man. The next fateful meetup with his now ex rolls around, but Changhee's non-stop yapping about her fabulous life is met with stony silence from Sungwon. When she finally broaches the topic of introducing their families for marriage discussions, he drops a brutal bombshell breakup. It's just a matter of the heart, and his is utterly consumed by Daeyoung. 1 target down, 3 to go. Not long after, Manhyuk rolls through the flower shop to grab a bouquet, right on the heels of Baksun prepping for one of her shady outings. He fills Daeyoung in on his runaway success seducing the old bat, confirming she's hopelessly addicted to his very presence. He even boasts about using her money to open that swanky new screen golf center he's been angling for, a brutal two birds one stone scenario, with both Daeyoung and Manhyuk well aware of the cash's shady origins. Out of gratitude for her orchestrating this whole twisted scheme that gave him a second lease on life, Manhyuk insists on gifting Daeyoung the entire business's profits. She's not interested in money, but bringing up Hanbin's name gives her pause to consider it. Manhyuk vows to stay in touch before hustling off. Elsewhere, Sungwon is calling up Daeyoung to set a secret rendezvous and gush about finally ending things with Changhee for good so they can be together. She plays it cool, masking her elation while agreeing to meet him at their usual haunt. Just then, Hanbin comes barreling into the shop, Miss Min in tow. After catching up on his daily hijinks, Daeyoung recruits the bestie boss to watch over her son for the night, an easy agreement since the little guy is always down to sleep over at grandma's. Returning home from what we can only assume was a magical day, Baksun's joy comes crashing down upon discovering her own daughter crumpled on the floor in an utter devastation. When she shakily inquires about the cause of such distress, between sobs the heart-shredded truth comes pouring out: someone dumped her. Baksun immediately kicks into nurturing mom mode, trying in vain to console her inconsolable little girl. This won't be easy. Now that someone has made his bold choice, Daeyoung's still skeptical he actually went through with cutting Chang-hee loose. His confidence wavers for a split second, that is until opportunity comes calling with a ring from his supposed ex. He's quick to put Chang-hee on speaker, and their terse convo leaves zero doubts that their romance is capital D done. This time, Daeyoung can't stifle her laughter of pure satisfaction, earning an earful of venom from Chang-hee, now keenly aware that someone has not only replaced her, but is madly infatuated with this mysterious woman. To celebrate his bold gambit, Daeyoung plans to reward her newly minted man in the most intimate way, that is, until intrusive thoughts of Daehoon start flooding her mind, forcing her to pump the brakes. Sungwon's left bewildered, but accommodating when she insists on postponing their planned tryst. Meanwhile, Chang-hee is straight raging, easily recognizing the voice of the woman who snatched away her man. She tearfully laments doing nothing to deserve this crushing blow as the bitter sobs continue to rack her body. The dark deeds Daeyoung has orchestrated to achieve her vengeful goals are beginning to weigh heavy on her conscience, even pervading her dreams. For some reason, she's terrified that the ever-pure Daehoon will judge her monstrous actions, unable to consummate her relationship with someone the previous night as visions of the upstanding building owner flooded her mind. She desperately tries shaking him from her thoughts. She can't afford to hesitate or indulge in normal happiness until her bloody vengeance is complete, until she takes down every last one of them. One major mark scratched off her list, and it's looking like Young-soo may be next to feel her wrath after he schedules yet another secret liaison. During his illicit backseat romp with Sekyung, Young-soo loses complete track of time, abruptly having to cut their heated session short so he can hustle off to his date with Daeyoung. His jilted sidepiece gets all green-eyed monster over his obvious urgency to be elsewhere until he soothes her jealousy with some smooth talk about another beautiful woman at the gym, a brutal bit of misdirection since Daeyoung wasn't even there at that moment. Back at the flower shop, Daeyoung is zoning out harder than ever, Miss Min's concerns growing by the day, though the caring boss isn't vocalizing her worries this time around, just silently hoping her girl finds a way through these cloudy struggles. A bouquet delivery summons Daeyoung away from the shop, and we'd all be lying if we said we weren't expecting that dreamy order to be from none other than Young-soo himself. Their clandestine meetup is brief but ends with Daeyoung agreeing to see her fitness beau again very soon. Sure enough, she immediately hits up her most trusted babysitter Miss Min, who's happy as always to lend a hand watching over Hanbin while his mom handles her oh-so-secretive business. Daeyoung's date with Young-soo seems to go swimmingly at first, the crafty vixen laying it on thick and fully intent on making this hunky personal trainer her next conquest. Over a cozy dinner, she masterfully sets the mood, only to get cold feet at the pivotal moment of passion, haunted by the looming shadow of her remorseful nightmares. Despite having this stud eating out of the palm of her hand, she abruptly calls it a night, leaving Young-soo equal parts confused and assuming she's just stringing him along with coy hard-to-get games. In reality, Daeyoung's guilty conscience is strangling her, feeling like pursuing this dalliance is the ultimate betrayal of sweet, compassionate Daehoon and the high moral pedestal she's placed him on. Her turbulent emotions reach a boiling point, prompting Daeyoung to fire off an unexpected late-night summons for Daehoon to come see her ASAP. She needs this man's intimate comfort, plain and simple. Despite sensing major turmoil in her urgent request, after confirming Hanbin is safe and sound with Miss Min, Daehoon doesn't hesitate to answer the call, racing over in a heartbeat. Once inside her apartment, Daeyoung invites him to sit and talk, but the words just won't come. He can clearly read the harrowing struggle painted across her expression, and doesn't even wait for her to speak before pulling the distraught woman into a warm, reassuring embrace. But that small act of kindness is a dam break. All of Daeung's pent-up anguish comes flooding out in the tender request, "Sleep with me." Daehoon hesitates, needing answers before indulging her in such a vulnerable act. What on earth is going on with her? Daeung comes clean to Daehoon about her burning need for payback, admitting she has to get her hands dirty to achieve her goals. To her, if he can bear to be intimate with her despite her misdeeds, it'll give her the strength to keep going until she gets her ultimate revenge. Daehoon is shook that physical intimacy is the only way he can support her right now, but asks Daeung to promise she'll come to him after it's all over. He's ready to accept her, no judgment, no matter what she had to do. With that reassurance, he gives in to her desires. Later, as he drops her off at work, Daehoon reinforces his unconditional support. It's crystal clear to Daeung now she has to end this quickly. With Chang-hee taken down and Baksun dancing to her tune, only Sekyung remains. Manhyuk is the Swiss Army knife in Daeung's revenge plot, flawlessly embedded in Changeob's finances through Baksun, exactly the inside man she needs. Emboldened by Daehoon's empowering words, Daeung is an unstoppable force. She owns Sungwon, mind, body and soul during their next rendezvous, leaving him with zero lingering interest in his humiliated ex Chang-hee. When she desperately demands answers for their brutal split, he gives her the cold shoulder. But this callous Chang-hee won't back down so easily. She wants vengeance, and maybe even her man back if she can help it. Hours into a productive workday, Miss Min and Daeung agree it's coffee break time when in walks none other than Daehoon. Miss Min invites him to join their caffeine clutch, but he politely declines, saying he can't stay long. He's relieved to have caught them at the perfect time, passing the ladies their daily pick-me-up before giving Daeung a subtle once-over, wishing her well, and heading off about his day. Young-soo takes Sekyung on that fancy date he promised, providing a sympathetic ear as she vents all her frustrations over her monster-in-law Baksun's recent suspicious busyness and absence. It's clear she misses quality time with her side boo, desperate for more intimate encounters in proper locales, making Young-soo increasingly uncomfortable despite his chill facade. Today, however, things take a shocking turn when Chang-hee spots the illicit couple and snaps incriminating photos of the rendezvous behind Sekyung's back. Once home, Chang-hee gears up to rat her out to Baksun, until a last-minute change of heart leaves the old bat baffled. Not long after, Baksun hits up Changeob for more cash, which he begrudgingly agrees to fork over, immediately putting Manhyuk on notice that more funds are inbound. Changeob gives his wife Sekyung a heads-up about Baksun's endless money requests, which only reinforces her suspicions that the old lady is being played. She urges her husband to keep close tabs. With Chang-hee's newfound knowledge of Sekyung's affair coupled with Baksun's shady dealings, it's looking like Jane's salad days of a nuclear family unit are numbered. Her mom Sekyung is the next domino to fall in Daeung's intricate revenge plot, and given Chang-hee's vengeful anger, she just might be the one to knock it down. Who doesn't love little Hanbin? That adorable kid has a magic power to brighten any room with his sunny smile. Daeung is positively glowing as her pride and joy recaps his latest school day achievements, including his buddy Najun's tales of an epic dreamland adventure. Soon, Hanbin and Miss Min are tag-teaming Daeung to finally take the boy to the theme park like his friend, until he voices his dejected realization that Najun got to go with both mom and dad. Enter the Dino Lollipop Man himself, Daehoon, to the rescue, instantly perking up the dejected youngster with yet another prehistoric sweet treat. His pure adoration for the little guy prompts Daehoon to volunteer as the missing dad figure, joining their crew for Hanbin's dreamed-of dreamland excursion. Meanwhile, Baksun is soaking up quality time with her boy toy Manhyuk when Sekyung calls, clearly another request to babysit little Jane. The old lady instantly tries brushing her off, until she hears her granddaughter's voice filter through, giving Sekyung the perfect opportunity to butter her up for an upcoming weekend visit. Manhyuk promises to take back Sin on as many sneaky dates as possible until that familial obligation rolls around. Later that night, as Daeung is tucking a sleepy Hanbin into bed, someone's number flashes across her phone. She straight up ignores his call. Seems her time stringing along her former puppet may finally be over now that she's gotten exactly what she wanted from him. The drama is just getting intense in this amazing manhwa. If you want us to continue, please comment Daeung below. Also, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Until next time, ciao.